There are more homes for sale in America right now than buyers willing to sign for them. In July, the number of active homebuyers nationwide dropped to the lowest level ever recorded, while sellers piled up in almost every major market. Sellers are begging you to buy these homes, and the numbers back it up. Let's start with the headline number, because it's the one that changes everything. According to Redfin's newest report, the number of homebuyers in the market fell to its lowest level on record in July, with an estimated 966,752 buyers in the market, down 2.5% from the month before. 966,000 people. That's it. That's the entire pool of active buyers across the whole country, and it's the smallest that pool has ever been. Now compare that to the sellers. There were an estimated 51.3% more home sellers than buyers in the U.S. housing market in July, just shy of December's peak of 51.8% and up from 47.9% the month before. So sellers didn't just outnumber buyers a little, they outnumbered them by more than half. And this isn't some regional blip. This is a nationwide imbalance that's been building for months. Here's the actual seller count, and it's staggering next to the buyer figure. An estimated 1,462,921 sellers versus fewer than a million buyers. Based on the data compiled by mortgage industry trackers, Redfin's data goes all the way back to 2013, and this July marks the lowest level on record, with data dating back to 2013. So why is this happening? It's not one thing, it's a pileup of pressures hitting buyers all at once. Mortgage rates are a huge part of it. The average rate on a 30-year fixed mortgage rose to 6.69% recently, according to Freddie Mac, up from the week before's reading of 6.66%. That's not a small tick. Just weeks earlier, rates had already jumped to what Freddie Mac called the highest level for the 30-year rate since late August, about 11 months ago, at 6.55%. And even a small rate move matters more than people think. As one report on The Spike put it, even an increase of a couple of basis points can push up home buyers' borrowing costs by several $100s a month. There's also a broader story behind why rates won't come down. Earlier this year, the Fed was widely expected to cut. That flipped. CME FedWatch data showed around a 35% to 40% chance of a quarter-point rate hike, the most market uncertainty ahead of a Fed vote in years, according to Realtor.com, marking a dramatic shift from earlier in 2026 when rate cuts were considered inevitable. Oil prices tied to conflict in the Middle East pushed inflation fears back up, and that rattled bond markets, which is what actually drives mortgage rates. Oil prices have been the primary driver of recent mortgage rate increases, as rising tensions in the Middle East pushed crude oil sharply higher, stoking inflation concerns. Redfin's own senior economist, Asad Khan, laid out exactly what's happening on the ground. He said buyers are dropping out faster than sellers, which is giving the buyers who remain more options and more negotiating power. He also pointed straight at the rate environment, noting that uncertainty around whether the Fed will hike rates. And this summer's rising mortgage rates are keeping many would-be buyers on the sidelines. So picture the scene, nearly 1 million buyers total, spread across the entire country. Meanwhile, sellers are sitting on listings, watching showings dry up, watching offers not come in. That's the setup. That's why sellers are suddenly the ones who need to make a deal happen, not the buyers. Now let's get specific, because this isn't happening evenly across the country. Some markets have flipped so hard toward buyers that sellers are stacking incentive on top of incentive just to get a signature. Redfin tracks this using a simple rule. If there are 10% more sellers than buyers in a market, it's officially a buyer's market. Right now, Miami, Nashville, and several parts of Texas are the nation's strongest buyers' markets, where sellers outnumber buyers by the widest margins. And it's not a handful of cities, it's most of the country. More than 3/4 of U.S. housing markets, 39 of the 49 U.S. metros tracked, have shifted toward buyers. Nashville is maybe the clearest example of sellers begging. In the spring data, home sellers in Nashville gave concessions in 75.5% of home sales during the 3 months ending in May, the highest share among the 28 major U.S. metropolitan areas included in the report. 3 out of every 4 sellers in Nashville are handing buyers money just to close. Texas is right behind it. The Sun Belt is leading the way for regions offering concessions, mainly because the once red-hot housing market in those areas appears to be slowing down as the number of sellers outpaces the number of buyers. Many Sun Belt cities quickly built new housing stock to meet pandemic-era demand, but the supply of new homes is now piling up. Builders overbuilt for a boom that cooled off, and now there's more product than there are people to buy it. And it's not just concessions. Actual asking prices are getting slashed. In San Antonio, Austin, Dallas, and Phoenix, more than half of home sellers are cutting prices, and these remain strong buyers' markets. Austin in particular stands out. One research center found the typical price reduction reached 4.5% from the original asking price statewide, up from 3.9% a year earlier, with Austin continuing to see the largest price concessions at 5.9%. So what exactly are sellers offering buyers to get deals done? It's more than just knocking dollars off the sticker price. Concessions can include money toward repairs, closing costs, or mortgage rate buydowns. That last one matters a lot right now. With rates sitting near 6.7%, a seller-funded buydown can shave real money off a buyer's monthly payment without touching the listed price at all. Nationally, this has become the dominant strategy. Home seller concessions hit record levels in May 2026, according to Redfin's latest analysis, with nearly 46.2% of U.S. home sales including concessions, up from 43.1% a year earlier, and the highest share on record for May. Meanwhile, price cuts are happening on top of that. About 15.7% of homes nationally had price reductions in May 2026, up from 12.8% a year ago. Some sellers are getting hit from every angle at once. Take Denver, where local data broke down the layered pain points sellers are absorbing. While 26% of listings involved only a concession, 12% of sellers had to use the triple threat, experiencing a price cut, accepting an offer below list, and providing a concession to close the deal. Cut the price, take a lowball offer, and still throw in cash at closing. That's what it takes in some corners of the country to get a home sold today. And Redfin's analysts are blunt about why so many of these sellers are stuck in this position. As Redfin economist Peterson explained, a lot of these sellers are stuck in the mindset of the 2021 market, when they had leverage over buyers, so they priced too high from the start, then have to claw their way back with concessions just to close. It's the flip side of everything homeowners got used to during the pandemic boom. Back then, buyers waived inspections and bid over asking just to get a foot in the door. Now, in most of the country, it's sellers doing the courting. So here's the question everyone actually wants answered. Is this the moment to jump in, and how long does it last? Redfin's own economist points to a specific stretch of time. Asad Khan said the period between now and Labor Day could be a potential sweet spot for people who need to move. Buyers have leverage, while motivated sellers may be willing to negotiate before the early fall rush brings some buyers back to the market. This could be the best chance for buyers and sellers to meet in the middle. That's not a random guess. It's built around the seasonal pattern, where fall traditionally pulls a wave of buyers back into the market after summer. But there's a real reason this window might not stay wide open, and it comes down to what the Fed does next. Because rate cuts aren't guaranteed here. In fact, for a stretch this year, a hike was actually on the table. Cleveland Fed President Bate Hammack and Dallas Fed President Lori Logan are widely expected to press for a rate hike during closed-door meetings to address inflation. Fed Chair Kevin Warsh has been direct about the central bank's posture, telling Congress that my colleagues and I recognize that high inflation has been an undue burden on American households and businesses, adding that the members of our committee have no tolerance for persistently elevated inflation. That stance is exactly why affordability hasn't eased even as sellers pile up. Mortgage industry watchers noted that whether the Federal Reserve's rate path delivers meaningful affordability relief before year-end will determine how many of those sidelined buyers return this fall. If rates stay elevated or even climb, more buyers could keep sitting out, which ironically would only push more sellers into offering deeper concessions to compete for the shrinking pool of people actually shopping. There's also a quieter shift happening in prices themselves that's easy to miss in the noise. One outlook cited in mortgage trade coverage found that Realtor.com's revised 2026 price outlook cut home price growth to 1.2%, below the expected inflation rate of 3.4%, suggesting that in real terms, conditions are quietly shifting in buyers' favor across most of the country, even if the nominal headlines have not yet captured that. In plain terms, home prices on paper aren't dropping much nationally, but once you account for inflation, buyers are effectively paying less in real value than they were a year ago. Real estate professionals working these deals day to day describe the market less as a crash and more as a negotiation. One industry breakdown for agents summed it up simply: the housing market isn't crashing and it isn't booming, it is negotiating. That framing matters. This isn't 2008, when prices fell off a cliff and buyers vanished because they were terrified of a collapsing system. This is a market where sellers still want and need to sell, buyers still want and need to buy. They're just far apart on terms. And concessions are the bridge. It also means the deals happening right now can look very different from what people expect. Someone hunting for a home can walk into a negotiation and skip the obvious move of just asking for a price cut. As one buyer's market breakdown described it, a $10,000 or $15,000 price reduction might sound impressive, but it may only create a modest change in the buyer's monthly payment. Whereas a carefully structured concession could reduce upfront expenses, lower the interest rate, address expensive repairs, or solve a timing problem. That's the real leverage buyers have right now, not just a lower number on paper, but the ability to reshape the whole deal around what actually helps them. And there's a warning built into the data for sellers who wait too long to adjust. Housing analysts in Denver found that as days in MLS increase, so does the likelihood of needing multiple pricing adjustments. Meaning the longer a home sits, the worse the terms get for the person selling it. That's a big part of why so many sellers are front-loading concessions now rather than waiting to see if the market turns back in their favor. So where does that leave things? Nearly 1 million buyers against close to 1.5 million sellers is not a small imbalance. It's the widest gap on record in some markets, and it's forcing sellers in places like Nashville, Miami, and half of Texas's biggest cities to offer real money just to get a deal signed. Whether that window stays open past Labor Day depends almost entirely on what the Fed does next, and whether enough sidelined buyers decide it's finally time to come back. Until then, the data says the leverage sits with whoever's still willing to show up and make an offer.